Yeah. Okay. Hello. Welcome to this CAD and 3D printing milestones course. So this course is being taught through collaboration of Purdue Milestones and ASME. So I'm from ASME. My boss is a guy from Milestones, and he handed the class off to us like about 2 years ago, a little bit more. So we've been running it ever since and improving this class to teach all of you guys. So a little bit about me. My name is Andrew Pham. I'm a junior in mechanical engineering. I've been CADing for about 6 years now. I really like 3D printing, and a fun fact about me is I'm a barista, but I don't like coffee. So yeah, and then here's my lovely TA. Oh, also some things I've done. Yeah.
My name is Amrit. I'm a sophomore in ME. I'm from New Delhi, India. And a fun fact about me, I know the recipe to make Baja Blast in the dining course. So if y'all wanna, make some Baja Blast of your own, just hit me up and I'll tell you how to make it.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're going to start by downloading Fusion because this will probably take a while, and then I'm going to be talking a little bit about this course and what we're going to be doing. So I don't know if you saw, but in the class Discord over here, under resources, I have a Windows and Mac installer because sometimes it's a pain to get it. So download the one specific for your device. So in my case, I have a Windows machine, so I'm going to download it on Windows. I didn't insert a virus, so don't worry. I'm not going to destroy your computers. But yeah, it'll run like this pre-flight check thingy. Yeah, let's see. I think it'll also ask you to make an account. So the other thing I put on here is this registration link. So if you don't have an Autodesk account, you can click this link here. It'll take you to the Autodesk website if it loads. Here, make sure to use your Purdue email because if you don't, you won't get the education license, and then you'll have a bunch of problems and like you won't be able to do stuff. So yeah, please use your Purdue email. I'm gonna say that like 8 times because sometimes people forget. So yeah, please use your Purdue email. You want the education license. But yeah, sometimes even if you do everything right, Autodesk will complain. So if that happens, which it probably will, don't worry. We'll try to figure it out. If not, we're gonna yell at Autodesk and get mad at them. But yeah, it's gonna ask you to create an account. I already have one, so I'm just gonna sign in. Um,
Also, your license will be for 1 year. So after that year elapses, you will have to renew that license. But that process will be relatively easier because you'll be prompted like 30 days before it expires on your Fusion 360, and it will take you to the renewal place where you'll just fill in the information again, and your license will be renewed. So just the first time registration is the painful part. The renewal is very easy.
okay, so has everyone like opened the installer and just got it running? Has anyone not done that yet? Or does anyone need help doing that? Okay, awesome. This is great. Um, does everybody have an account yet? Or raise your hand if you don't have an Autodesk account now. Okay. Do any of you need help with that, or are you just like finishing that? Okay. I'm just gonna assume that you're just working on it.
Like 5 minutes to
Yeah, it'll probably take a while. So, while that goes, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about ASME in this course. It's just a lot of talking. So, yeah. So, what is this course? So this is a Fusion 360 course. No, you can't use SolidWorks. No, you can't use NX for this course. People have asked me that. This is a Fusion course, so yeah, use Fusion 360. It's free for all of us students, so that's awesome. I find that it's relatively intuitive, especially for beginners, because it has like nice symbols and it's very colorful. It's very user friendly and it's cloud based, which is nice because you don't always need like a monster of a laptop to run Fusion. But yeah, it's also cool because it allows for collaboration. So if any of you have like a group project that you want to design things with other people, you can like share things almost like Google Drive and stuff, which is a really nice benefit of Fusion. But yeah, okay, so we ran through making the account, class introduction. So what is Milestones? A lot of you have signed up through Milestones, but Milestones is basically just a series of skills-based workshop. It's like an enrichment course, so you don't get like a GPA boost from taking this class, but you get a digital certificate for completing it. So once you pass, which I hope you all do, you'll get this really cool certificate that you can put on your resume, and then you can flex on all the employers and say, hey guys, I know how to CAD, hire me please. But yeah, hopefully like you get the certificates soon, because the process takes a while. So after this course ends and when you pass, it'll probably take about like 2, maybe 3 months for you to get the certificate. I wish it would be faster, but the person who authenticates it is like super slow. So don't worry, it will come eventually. If you want like if you need someone to like tell, or if you need me to tell someone that you like passed the class for whatever reason, because I think some people last semester were taking this class for like extra credit in some of the classes they were taking. You can have me like email the professor and tell them that you did pass the class, because the certificate probably won't come in time. But yeah, hopefully you'll get them shortly after the class, but we'll see. But yeah, some of the course objectives, we want you to understand the importance of CAD, and then we're going to teach you all the necessary tools to create all the stuff that you could ever want, at least hopefully. And then on top of that, we're going to hopefully teach you how to manufacture some stuff, and we're going to be doing that with 3D printing because it's really easy for us and it's pretty cool. But yeah, a little bit about ASME. If you are not a part of ASME, we're one of the very large engineering clubs on campus. It stands for the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. And our goal is to prepare our members for success in industry. So we help you with like technical experience by like taking these classes, because some people are here because of ASME, but we also offer professional development and stuff like that, helping your like resume and all that cool stuff. We have a bunch of design teams where we make stuff. Here are a couple of them. I won't talk about all of them because they're not even all here because we have so much stuff. I did small projects. We made BattleBots last year, which was pretty cool. I don't remember what they're doing this semester, but last semester they did drones, which was also pretty awesome. But yeah, we have a Grand Prix team, do a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, professional development, all that fun stuff. But yeah, we also have lots of connections. So we do like a lot of stuff with other companies. So if you are looking for internships and stuff like that, you can join the Slack for more updates. I don't know if you're into that, but it's here if you want it. Also, you have the slides, so if I'm going fast and you didn't scan it, then you can scan it later. But yeah, a little bit more about this course. It's a 5-lecture course. So this is the first lecture. It's every Tuesday for 2 hours from 5:30 to 7:30. We're going to be here for every like class period, so we won't be changing rooms at all, which is nice. There's going to be 5 different modules that goes from the basics to more advanced CAD techniques. So by the end of the course, you should be able to make some pretty cool stuff. Here's kind of like a breakdown of the course and like all the points. So those are all like the assignments you're going to get. And then also one thing to note is that this is a pass-fail course, so I won't be giving like letter grades. So as long as you get a 70% or above, you're gonna pass the class, and then you're good. So it's not that bad, especially because I do most of the assignments in class. So as long as you like copy me and like understand what's going on, you're gonna do well. Which is why we emphasize you showing up to class, because I basically do most of it for you. But yeah, your final project in this class is to create a model of your own, right? So you're gonna design something completely from scratch. You're gonna make a cool model, and then you're gonna render it, and then you will also have the option of getting it 3D printed. So if you want a physical like representation of what you did in this class when you finish it, you can get that because I will print it for you. But yeah, it cannot be the engineering fountain or a plane because those are assignments that we do in class. So yeah, don't do that. And then it must contain more than 5 design features, but we'll go over that as we go through the course. So yeah, here are some examples of some final projects from past students. These are some of the coolest ones that I really liked looking at. And yeah, it's pretty awesome to see them be able to do this. And that shows that all of you can do it as well. Okay, yeah. So this is module 1. I guess I forgot to talk about attendance. So there's an attendance form on the course Discord. So when you show up to class, please fill it out so you know. So I know that you're here. If not, then I'm gonna like send you an email saying, hey, you weren't at class. Why weren't you at class? And that just helps me like make sure you're engaged with this course, because I found that the main reason why people don't pass this class is just because they stop showing up. So please show up to class. If you're not at class for whatever reason, right? If you have class, like another class, or you have a club that you have to go to, or you're like we're sick, like it's okay if you don't come. My attendance policy is there are no unexcused absences allowed, but you can have an excused absence, if that makes sense. So as long as I know why you're not in class, then that's okay. But if you don't tell me, then I might drop you from the class, and I don't want to do that. But we have like a super long wait list. It's like the biggest like ever. Like the wait list is like almost double the class capacity. So a lot of people want to take this class. So if you don't show up, I'm gonna give that seat to someone else. So please show up, or if you don't, tell me that you're not gonna show up. Oh, Fusion's done. Okay, but yeah, that's attendance. Does anybody have any like questions about this course in general? I'm happy to go over anything.
Was everybody able to make their Fusion accounts? Does anybody have an issue with their Fusion account? Do you have an issue with your Fusion account?
Oh, yes.
Was everybody also able to get Fusion on their computers? Anybody here who is having trouble? Wow. I think the strong worded emails to Autodesk finally worked. You have an issue?
Anybody have any issue with Autodesk at all? This is so good. I haven't seen. Okay. So now that everyone hopefully has Fusion installed and their account, I'm gonna go over like just a couple things on the UI. If you opened it and signed in already, if this is your first time, it'll ask you to create a team. It's basically just like naming your Google Drive. So just make your own like private team and name it whatever you want, because that's basically the folder that you're going to be working from in this class and in whatever else you design later. But yeah, if you haven't done that yet, it's going to ask you to sign in. It'll probably open the browser, and then it'll ask you to sign in. I already signed in, so it's good. I already made a team because this isn't my first time installing Fusion. So, has everyone made a team? Everyone's good? Yeah? Okay. If you don't raise your hand, oh wait.
What's up? Are you all having issues with the education license? Okay. So one thing to do with that issue is everybody go to the Autodesk page, and there should be a chat bot on the bottom right corner. Okay, should be a chat support. You click on the chat support, and it will give you certain options. Andrew,
Yeah,
can I show them real quick?
yeah, it should pop up like here.
Yeah, that's the issue that everybody's having. Yeah.
Yeah.
Click on that.
So
Yeah. Click on that. As you can see,
you can, yeah, you can
Yeah.
talk to it.
this is what I usually do because I don't want to navigate. I am lazy. So this is what I do. And click on software for students and teachers. Just follow these steps and renew an educational license. Then you click on the article right there. It will redirect you to a page. You scroll down a little bit, click on the Get Products page. And once you scroll down, you will see since Andrew already has a license. Scroll down a little bit. Add right where Fusion 360 is.
Ooh, it's like on top.
Yeah. So since Andrew has a license, he's getting Get Product. You all will have a Get Started button. Once you click on that button, it will redirect you to a information page where you fill in certain information about your school, uh, and you'll fill out all that information. And once you fill that information out, you'll confirm. And once you do that, you will have your education license for 1 year. The school address is something that a lot of people get confused with. So the school address that you will put is 610 Purdue Mall. That's the address of the PMU. And that should get you your education license instantly. And once you get your license, you just close down Fusion 360, start it up again, and it should work. Let me know if you guys have trouble with that, and I can help. Okay. Also, you can use the same technique to renew your license and after 1 year. Just use that. The school website is just purdue.edu. For anybody wondering, the school website is just purdue.edu. That's it. Anybody else having trouble? Okay. Anybody else having trouble? Okay. Anybody else having trouble? Anybody else having trouble? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yay.
Most of the people, hopefully, almost all of you have Fusion installed with your educational license. Everybody? Okay. Does anybody need any help of any sort? Have all of you filled in the attendance? Is there? Yeah, probably want to do that. Can everybody please go to the Discord and record your attendance so that you don't get an unnecessary email or get dropped?
It's right here. Alright.
Right on the Discord. Can everybody please record their attendance, please? If you haven't already done that.
Okay, so most of you have Fusion working. I'm sorry for those who aren't working. Um, yeah, it just kind of happens. I just realized that with more people teaching, or I'm teaching, because this is the biggest class size I've had, we're gonna have more students with problems. It's not your fault. It's just Autodesk being Autodesk. So don't worry. We will hopefully resolve those soon. But we're just gonna move on for now. If yours isn't working, feel free to follow along. Again, all these lectures are recorded, and then I will post it to YouTube, and then you can watch it later. So if you either miss class or you're confused about something, you can go back and watch it. And yeah, hopefully you can figure that out. Also, again, if you have homework questions or anything other questions, the Discord is there for you. Feel free to ask. I will do my best to answer. And it also benefits other people because they might be having the same question and they haven't asked it yet. And then they can read your question and hopefully the answer too. But yeah, we're just going to go into module 1, basic sketching and all that stuff. So yeah. But yeah, first we're going to talk about CAD. What is CAD? CAD stands for Computer Aided Design. Before computers were invented, all the stuff that people would make is just like made on like a piece of paper. Just some dude is just there drawing it up. But now we have computers and they're really smart and they can do a bunch of math for us. And it's really nice because we can make 3D shapes just on our laptops, which is honestly amazing. But yeah, you see, they used to need like a whole like room size worth of computer to do it, but now you can do it on your laptop, which is awesome. Of course, there's a lot of applications for it. Basically, everything you use that you've bought has been CADed at some point. So all your phones, there's a CAD of it somewhere in like Apple's servers or wherever. But yeah, they use it for cars, basically just everything. And Fusion is really cool because it can do not only CAD, but other stuff as well. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's a FEA class that we also run that stands for Finite Element Analysis. And you can use Fusion 360 to look at your part and kind of like see where it would fail. And then you can take that information and make your part stronger or weaker depending on what you need. But yeah, that's kind of like a simulation there. It's pretty cool. And then it's also good for manufacturing, right? You can design an accurate part on the computer. and then you can send it off to a machine to be made. In this class, we're going to be doing it for 3D printing. But Fusion also has a CAM software, which allows you to program CNC machines like CNC mills and stuff like that, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, also there's a bunch of different softwares out there. SolidWorks is one of them. NX is one of them. But yeah, there's a bunch of them. They all have their own use cases. A lot of them do very similar things. It's kind of like a preference to a lot of people. People will argue. I will argue. There's a bunch of different ones. They're all cool. But yeah. Okay, so on to our first assignment. So these are some very basic shapes. I've seen that some of you have already done this, but if you don't know what you're doing, it's okay. You can just follow along and then I'll do it right in front of you. So we want to create these three 3D objects. There's a cube, a cylinder, and like this bridge thing. Just some simple building blocks, and then we're just going to dive right in. So this is Fusion. This is your workspace that you're going to be working in. This big white area is basically your canvas for all your designs. I'm actually going to change this because if you want, you can get grids so you can kind of see. It's down here on the bottom. But yeah, up here is your data panel. It's like this Rubik's Cube looking thing. You can click on it to hide and show it, and this basically pops up like your Google Drive, but for Fusion. So, yeah. Over here.
If you guys have questions following along, just raise your hand so that I can come to you.
Yeah.
And I can rectify your problems individually. Right?
But yeah, over here on the left, is all like a list of all the projects. Up here is like the different teams that you're in. You see I'm in like a couple of them, but you'll probably be in one right now. But yeah, just to stay organized, I'm just going to create a new project for this class so you can kind of make your own folder. But over here, new project. It's going to take a second. Rename it. Okay. So I'm going to double click on it, and now it's just kind of in here. It just helps me keep organized. You can organize it however you like, but yeah. Now I'm just going to start making my part, right? So again, here's this workspace that we're going to be working in. I'm going to hide the data panel so it's a little bit bigger. And then on this top toolbar up here are all the tools that you'll need to create your designs, right? So in this class, we're going to be focusing on solid design. So there's like surface and mesh and like sheet metal and all that other cool stuff. But mainly we're just going to be doing solids. So if your toolbar ever like looks weird, it may be because that you're under like surface and then it's just completely different. So if that's ever a problem, you can just make sure you're on solid first. That might help clear things up. But yeah, the first thing that we're going to be doing is a sketch. So how CAD works generally is you're going to start from a 2D sketch, and then you're going to extrude it or revolve it or manipulate it in some way to make it 3D, right? So again, you start from 2D and then you make it 3D. So the sketch tool, you're going to be using it a lot. It's up here on the top left. A nice thing about Fusion is if you hover over the tool, it'll kind of tell you what it does. So if you're ever confused, you can kind of read it, and it might help you get a sense of what's going on. But yeah, I'm going to create a sketch, and to make it, I have to choose a plane, right? So again, we're in a 3D workspace, but we start on a 2D plane. So over here, I'm going to select this little square over here. So it's going to rotate it onto the top plane. In terms of navigation, you're going to be moving around in this space a lot, right? Especially when you make bigger parts, you're going to want to navigate and look at different parts and angles. So you need to know how to do that. That's why I recommend bringing a mouse to class or just using a mouse when you CAD in general, just because it makes it easier. Another thing that's kind of useful is a touch screen, because when I'm CADing like I don't know, somewhere at like a coffee shop and I don't have a mouse, touch screen's kind of nice, but that's just kind of preference thing. Um, but if you don't have a mouse, the one thing that you can do is use the view cube. So up here on the top right, I think you can see my mouse. There's this view cube. So right now it's on the top view, so we're looking straight down. But if you hold down on it, you can rotate it, and you see your view rotates with it, right? And I turned the grids on, so it's a little bit easier to see. But yeah, the other thing you can do is you can click on certain faces, and then it'll like fly into place. So if I wanted to go on the top plane again, because that's where I'm sketching from, I just click on the top, and then it rotates it into place. You can zoom in and out by scrolling, so you can see it's getting bigger and smaller. You can pan by middle clicking, so it'll be like sliding side to side or up and down. And then you can orbit, which is like rotating around like the center by holding the shift button and middle click. So again, you would need a mouse for that because you need middle click. So yeah, if you can't do that, you can manipulate the view cube on the top right, and it'll do the same thing. So you see it rotates like that. So yeah, I'm going to click on the top plane again, and we're going to start making our part. So I'm going to start with the cube. So once we created a sketch, you can see the toolbar changes into like the sketch features. So to make a rectangle or a cube, I'm going to make a rectangle and just clicking here. Good rule of thumb is to always start at the origin, because the origin is like the only defined point in space when you make a design. And then you base your designs off of that later. Today we're not going to be doing that because we're just kind of placing like cubes in random places, but it's good practice to do that later on. So I'm going to do it for the cube here. I'm just going to click on the origin, which is this round thing at the center, and then I'm going to drag it out. So do that, and now I have a square, right? Oftentimes when you make things, you want to have dimensions. So over here, you can click the sketch dimension tool, and then you can start assigning things dimensions, right? So because this is a square in this case, I want this to be like 100 like millimeters or something, right? I CAD in millimeters, but whatever units that you want to use is fine. I'm not going to grade on like units and stuff like that in this class, so you can use whatever you want. But yeah, I'm just going to do 100 for both sides. There are better ways to do this with geometric constraints, but we're going to be going over that next week. So yeah, I have this nice square, right? Is everyone up to this point? Yes? Cool. Okay, so once I'm satisfied with the sketch, I want to finish it, and then I'm going to manipulate it, right? So in this case, I'm going to extrude it. So it's going to take this sketch, and it's just going to pull it into the third dimension, right? So up here on the top right, there's this big check mark. I'm going to finish the sketch. I'm happy with it. It's going to change back to this toolbar. And then next to the sketch button is the extrude button. And again, you see it has like a preview of kind of what it does. So I'm going to click extrude. I'm going to rotate it a little bit so you can see. And you see this arrow here? I can pull it out. And now you see my square becomes a rectangular prism, right? You can also change it in a more precise manner by specifying the distance manually on the right. So I like to do that. I'm going to type in 100, and then once I press enter, it'll confirm it. So I'm going to press enter, and now we have a lovely cube. Is everyone good up to this point? Okay, I'm going to go a little bit faster now. We're going to be making another part. Let's make the cylinder now. So again, I'm going to create a sketch. I'm going to pick a plane. I'm just going to pick the top plane again. Normally you want it at the origin, but because this is just kind of like a demonstration, I'm just going to put this in random space over here. I'm going to say 200 maybe. But yeah, you notice the circle is blue, right? The edge of the circle is blue, which means that it's not defined in space, right? So if I use my mouse, I can like drag this circle around to be wherever I want. And in a lot of cases, you don't want that, right? You want everything to be nice and precise. So what we can do, I'm going to use the dimension tool again, and then I'm going to go off the origin to specify certain distances so it's fixed in space. So let's make this 100, and let's make this distance, let's say 200, right? So you see the edge of the circle is black now, right? That's what you want. That's good. So does that make sense to everyone? Like now if I try to drag it around, it doesn't move at all, which is good because if you want to make a precise part, you don't want like floating edges. If that makes sense. Yeah? Okay. So I made the circle. I'm happy with it. I'm going to finish it. I'm also going to extrude this one. So I select the circle, drag it out. Let's make this 200. And yeah, now I have a cylinder. Cool. Okay. So now we're going to make this bridge thing, right? So there's a number of ways you could do it, right? You could extrude a big square and then cut out the like circular piece, or you can extrude the circular piece and the rectangle at the same time, right? So there's a bunch of ways you can do it. There's no like technically wrong way of doing it, but there are more like quote unquote efficient ways of CADing, right? So I like to choose like a more complex side first. So I have all the information in one sketch, and then I can extrude it, and it's just one operation. So to do that, I'm going to make a sketch. This time I'm going to choose one of these like side planes. So I'm going to choose this left plane. And now I'm going to start by drawing a rectangle. And again, this rectangle isn't fully defined, so I want to define it in space. I'm going to add dimensions, if it lets me. Hello. 30. So I'm going to dimension out this rectangle over here. Okay, so I have a fully defined rectangle, but now I want to add this semicircle, right? So I'm going to create a circle on top of it by using the circle tool. I'm going to eyeball the center and drag it out. Again, it's blue, so I want to dimension it properly. And then, okay, so now you see kind of an idea of the shape that we're going for, right? But we also have a bunch of extra lines. So if you ever want to get rid of those extra lines, there are these scissors over here. It's the trim tool, and you can use it to like cut away at the lines that you don't want. So over here, I'm going to trim away. I'm going to hold down and drag. I don't think you can see it, but once I move my mouse over it, it cuts the circle, right? But there's also this line over here. So I'm going to click on this line, and it's also going to go away. But here you'll notice that my circle turned blue, and it's because it was originally going off the line to kind of assume where it was in space. And now that it's not doing that, it's not fully defined, right? So now I can like move this around, which is not what we want. So what I'm going to do to fix that is I'm going to add some geometric constraints. We're going to be going over this more next week, but this is a little bit of a preview, right? So for this to be in the center, I want both of these little lines to be the same length. So to do that, I'm going to go under constraints, and I'm going to click on equal up here. And then I'm going to click on these two lines. Oh, yay, it's mad at me. Okay. and then you see the circle turned black now, right? Does that make sense? Did everyone get that? Okay. If you didn't, it's okay because we're going to be doing this more next week. But yeah, that's a little preview. I'm happy with this. It's fully defined, so I'm going to finish the sketch, and then I'm going to extrude it out. So let's just go this way. And now I have all three shapes, right, or blocks. So they're all gray. The parts are done, but they look kind of boring. But I want it to be colorful, right? We want to make some colors. You want to assign it materials, right? That's something you can do in Fusion. So what we're going to do is we're going to assign it an appearance. In this case, I'm just going to paint it, but this is also useful for when you want to specify materials. You can use it in FEA and stuff like that later. But for this class, it's mostly going to be for colors. I don't know if you saw the rubric, but a lot of the assignments will say that like you need to add appearances. Please don't use a gray appearance because then I'll assume that you didn't do it. So pick something bright and then I'll know that you used it. If not, then you might lose points, and then if you're going to ask me why, then that's probably why. So don't use gray. Pick something colorful, please. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, to assign a color, I'm going to go up here on this drop-down menu. I'm going to open this bodies folder, and then you see there's like 3 bodies, right? That basically is showing that there's 3 separate like parts in this like workspace. So to assign a color, I'm going to change its appearance. So I right click on the body, I click appearance. It's going to think for a bit, and then this thing is going to pop up. And then over here, you'll see there's like a bunch of different materials and colors that you can choose from. I usually just go for paint just because it's colorful. It might ask you to download some colors. I'll just download like blue, green, and red. Maybe. Okay, cool. And then to assign the appearance or material to your part, you can just drag it on. So I'm going to make a blue cylinder, green block, and a red arch. Does that make sense? Everyone's good? Again, if you know how to CAD, this is probably pretty slow for you. But again, this is a beginner course, so yeah. Does that make sense to everyone? Because if it does, I'll move on to the next assignment. Some people were asking me about like how to change your sketch later. So the cool thing about CAD is that your design can change around your parameters, right? So if you make something a certain length and you're like, oh, I want to change that, you can do that. So on the bottom is your timeline. So this is very important to keep it clean. So it's just kind of like the like writing a book. It's like the process of which you made your part, right? Another cool thing about Fusion is like you can view your timeline and like play it like a movie. So if I like went back, maybe. Right. Okay. I can like play it like a movie, and you can like see each step in the process. But if you ever want to edit the steps, you can go in and select one. So over here, you can see the little icons. Like this is a sketch just like up here. You can right click it and then click edit, and then you can change it, right? So if I wanted this distance to be 200 instead, I could do that, and then I could press finish. I could edit the extrusion. So let's say I wanted it to be bigger. I can go negative 200, and then it changes the extrusion. But yeah, CAD is cool because you can go back and edit it. But yeah, so now that we have this, I'm just gonna go over the next assignment. So I'm gonna save this, Command S or Control S. Okay, so to make a new design, I'm just gonna press the plus up here, just like a new tab on like a web browser. I'm gonna create a fresh workspace, and I'm gonna make this hammer, right? I'm gonna go a little bit faster because we're starting to run out of time. But yeah, I'm gonna make a sketch. I'm gonna make a cylinder real quick. So I'm gonna make a circle. I'm gonna dimension it, finish it, and then extrude it, just like we did in the first assignment. Let's do like 400. All right, maybe a bit more. Okay, so I have the handle of the thing, of the hammer, just like the cylinder from the previous assignment. But now we're gonna start making stuff on top of it, right? So I'm gonna make a sketch, but instead of adding the sketch or creating the sketch on one of the origin planes, I can make a sketch on top of a part I've already made, right? So for this, I want this hammer piece to be on top of the cylinder. So I'm going to select the top of the cylinder, and I'm going to make a rectangle from there. There's the 2-point rectangle tool, but I want this rectangle to be centered. So I'm going to go under Create and Rectangle. I'm going to use the Center Rectangle tool, and then I'm going to select the origin, drag it out. Now I have this rectangle. I'm going to add dimensions. And then great, I have like this profile, looks somewhat proportional to me. I think that's good. And then I'm going to extrude it. So over here, you can see like there's this little nub on top of the hammer. There's multiple ways you could go about doing this, right? You could make the rectangular prism extrude upwards out of the cylinder, and then make another extrusion on top of it with a smaller cylinder. But in my case, I want to be like more efficient and use like less operations to get that part I want. So I'm going to use like an offset from the sketch to create the extrusion, right? So over here on the extrusion settings, you can tell it where to start extruding. And a lot of the times, you're going to extrude it from where you made the sketch. But in this case, I don't want to because there's that little nub on top. So it says over here, start. It's basically where the extrusion starts. I'm going to change that from profile plane to offset. So I'm going to offset it like a distance, maybe like 100. In this case, it's offsetting up because you can see this arrow is like floating. So I'm going to offset it at negative 100. You can see it's downwards. And then for the distance, I'm going to add some distance, maybe like 300. And again, it's going the wrong way, so I'm going to do negative 300. It looks kind of weird. I'm gonna make this offset smaller and then maybe make that part a bit smaller as well. But now you see it's kind of like taking shape, right? And Fusion will try to assume things to help you, but it's not always right. So in this case, it's not right. So you see uh, the rectangular prism is red because it thinks that I want to cut away at the cylinder, but in this case, I don't, right? So under operation, you can specify what kind of thing it's going to do. So right now, it thinks I want to cut away at the cylinder, but I want to add to it. So instead of cut, I'm going to say join. So join means the cylinder and the rectangular prism will be one like body, right? So you saw on the block assignment, there's 3 different bodies. This has like multiple extrusions, but it's still one body, right? So I'm gonna press OK. You see under bodies, so there's only one, but now I have the vague shape of a hammer. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So on this hammer, you see the edges are kind of rounded, right? It's not very sharp, and we want to do that as well. So over here, we're going to add something called the fillet. It'll just round the corners. And then what you can do is you can select the edges that you want to be round. So over here, I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to use the orbit tool to rotate and select some more edges. And now all these highlighted blue edges are going to become rounded. So over here, I'm going to specify it, how big or how round I want it to be. So let's say I want it to be like 5 millimeters. You can see in this model, because all the numbers are so big, it's not very large. So if I increase the number to like 20, it becomes more round, right? So that's nice. I think it looks fine. I'm going to press OK, and there you go. Got a hammer. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah? What's up? Okay. Does anybody have any more questions? We have like 10 minutes. If you're okay with staying with anyone happy with you that 7 is ready. Okay, I'm gonna go really fast. I want to go. I didn't eat today. Okay, let's go fast. All right. So the last assignment is creating like a chess piece or a game piece. So I'm just gonna go over it really quickly. Sorry, this is kind of long today. Technological issues, all that stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go over it quickly. I'll post this on YouTube later tonight. So if I go too fast, that's okay. For those of you who have homework questions, ask them in the Discord. I'm happy to help. Homework is due before the next class, so you have a week to do the assignments. I'm pretty relaxed with like the turn-in schedule, but please don't abuse it because I kind of would like to grade them all at the same time. It saves me time, and then maybe you'll get your grades back sooner. But yeah, um, if you have any other questions about homework submissions, all that stuff, you can ask later. Um, it's a Google form. Just submit screenshots. Something to note is make sure you have your timeline included in the screenshot. So this bottom section, that basically tells me like the process that you went through to create your part. So here you see like this one's a sketch, this one's an extrude, and then we're going to be learning a bunch of different tools. So if you don't include the timeline, then sometimes I can't like figure out what you did, right? Or there might be a certain tool that I want you to use in the assignment, and if you don't have the timeline, I won't be able to tell if you used it or not. But yeah, other than that, I'm just gonna go over the pawn or chess piece really quickly because I know people have to leave. So yeah, creating a new design. I'm gonna make a sketch. I'm going to choose a plane. I'm going to draw out like a section view of the piece. So I'm just going to go up, draw like that. Let's see. And then I'm going to create an arc, just like this. I'm going to make a line and a circle connecting that line. Again, I'm going to post it to YouTube later, so if I'm going fast, it's okay. I'm going to add a line here to make sure it's fully complete. I'm going to trim away here. We're going to learn this next week, but I'm going to make these two tangent just so it's nice and smooth. It's a geometric constraint. It's up here. Yeah, I'm just going to manipulate it. I'm not going to add dimensions for sake of time. But yeah, over here, we have like this profile of like a chess piece. It's almost like you cut it in half and you cut it in half again. And basically what it's going to do, we're going to revolve it instead of extruding it, right? So before, we've been extruding things. So we take a sketch and we pull it. But this is taking a sketch and rotating it. So I don't know if you've done like the disk and washer stuff in calculus, but this is basically what like the computer is doing, right? It's gonna take this sketch and it's gonna copy it an infinite number of times until you have a solid shape. So we have this profile of this piece. Instead of extrude up here, I'm gonna choose revolve. You see this blue area is like fully constrained, it's fully closed, and that's what we want. But then you have to specify the axis of rotation, right? So when you do the disk and washer stuff, it's like you have to say if it's like the X or Y plane or like offset from that. In this case, I'm just going to select this. If I selected something else, I'd get a completely different shape. Like if I selected this and in this profile, it would like spin it into like a negative chess piece, but we don't want that. So over here, I'm going to select this edge and bam, chess piece. No way. Other thing to do in this is adding your name at the bottom. So over here, I'm going to make a sketch. And then under the create section, there's a text function. Click it. And then I can write my name or something else. I'm just going to say hi. And then I'm going to cut it into the chess piece, right? So finish the sketch. I'm going to extrude it. And then I'm going to make it negative or not. Hello. Yay. Okay.
Make sure your operation is set to cut. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's set to either join, sometimes it's set to new body or new component. Make sure it's set to cut so that
Yeah.
it cuts it.
So cut is like a negative extrude. It'll like cut the piece out. A lot of these terms are like self-explanatory. But yeah. Now it says it on the bottom. For this assignment, make sure you add an appearance. So body, appearance, open, and bam, blue chess piece with words on the bottom. Yeah, that's the assignment. You have homework. I'm not going to be doing the homework assignments in these classes, but it's basically taking what you learned today and then expanding on it. So here's a chair. Your homework is to make a chair. Yeah, it's just a bunch of extrudes and stuff like that. You can use fillets. But yeah, if you're interested, the rubrics are also posted, so you know exactly what I'm grading on. So yeah, other than that, that's it for today. Sorry it went a bit long. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.